Hello dear students, very good morning to all of you. In last lecture, we had discussed about the various type of histamine receptor, histamine release, its storage, its metabolism and its distribution in the human body. Today we are going to discuss about the H1 antagonist, which is also known as anti-allergic agents. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the structural features of histamine's agonistic activity. Then we'll discuss about the H1 blockers, in which mode of action of H1 blockers, structure activity relationship of H1 blockers, first generation H1 blockers, second generation H1 blockers, then topical H1 blockers, it is also called as ophthalmic H1 blockers, then use and side effects of the antihistamines. Now, structural features of histamine agonistic activity. So, in last lecture we already have discussed about that. In histamine structure there is a two main moiety. Number one is imidazole structure and another structure is ethylamine branch chain. Okay. So, there is a two possibility where the modification will take place, and according to it there is a agonistic activity or antagonistic activity are modified. So, number one, modification of the imidazole moiety of histamine. It's having two types of modification. Number one, it is the replacement of imidazole moiety by the another heterocyclic ring structure, in which the replacement of the imidazole moiety of histamine by 2-thiazole ring H1 receptor selectivity is encountered. Then corresponding 3 and 4 pyridyl analogues are both inactive, that indicating the demand for a nitrogen atom neighboring the ethylamine side chain. Means this is the neighboring amino group is required to ethylamine side chain. Next one is substitution at the imidazole ring. The 5-alkyl substituted histamine derivative are H2 receptor selective agent. You can see in my next lecture in H2 antagonist, there is a cimetidine, famotidine, ranitidine drugs which having a 5-alkyl substitution in the imidazole ring system. It is substituted here. Okay, so it form a H2 antagonistic activity, and because it's have a H2 receptor selectivity. If methyl substitution at position 2 means it is substituted here, then it leads to potent and selective H1 receptor agonist. Number 2 is modification of the ethylamine side chain of histamine. So, in that case there is a two type of position, alpha and beta. I always shown here alpha and beta. Okay. So, introduction of substitution into the ethylamine side chain has not resulted in very interesting results, while methylation at alpha and beta position leads to reduction in H1 receptor activity. Next is substitution at the amino group. N-alpha methyl histamine is equipotent with histamine itself. Now, we will discuss about the mode of action of H1 blockers. It is now known that H1 histamines act as inverse agonist that combine with and stabilize the inactive form of the H1 receptor, shifting the equilibrium towards the inactive state. So, they effectively antagonize the action of histamine at H1 receptor. Historically, H1 antihistamines have been evaluated in vitro in terms of their ability to inhibit histamine-induced spasm in an isolated strip of guinea pig ileum. The more potent, some H1 antihistamine can also block histamine release. The concentration, however, are significantly higher than those required to produce major histamine receptor block. Some H1 antihistamine also antagonize serotonin and bradykinin which are released along with histamine during anaphylaxis reaction. Now SAR of H1 blockers. So this is the general structure of H1 blockers. Okay, so you can see here there are total 4 possibility where there is a modification take place, and according to modification there is the effect of H1 blockers will change out. Okay, so number 1 is aryl substitution. There is a aryl group. Okay, then there is a connecting group X, then there is a chain ethylene chain यानी कि CH2 ethylene chain, then there is substitution on the nitrogen. Okay, let's we discuss about the individual point. Now SAR of aryl groups. In this structure, aromatic is aryl including phenyl, substituted phenyl and heteroaryl group such as 2-pyridyl, while aromatic dash means this group. Okay, aromatic group dash is a second aryl methyl group. Then X is connecting atom of oxygen, carbon or nitrogen. CH2N represent a carbon chain, usually it is ethyl, and NRR dash means this group. Okay, represent a basic terminal amine function. This diaryl substitution pattern is present in both the first and second generation antihistamine and is essentially a significant H1 receptor affinity. Furthermore, several SAR studies suggest that the two aryl moiety must be able to adopt a non-coplanar conformation relative to each other for optimal interaction with the H1 receptor. The two aromatic system may be linked as in the tricyclic antihistamine, example phenothiazine, dibenzocycloheptanes and heptanes, but again they must be non-coplanar for effective receptor interaction. So for effective receptor interaction, it is compulsorily required non-coplanar conformation. Most H1 antihistamine contain substitute in one of the aryl ring, usually benzene, and this influence histamine potency as well as biodisposition. Now number 2, nature of X. The nature of X provide the basis of chemical classification of classic antihistamines. Example, when X equal to oxygen, so that class is known as amino alkyl ether analogues. If X equal to nitrogen, then this class is called as ethylene diamine analogues. If X equal to carbon, then this class is known as monoamino propyl analogues. Number 3, the alkyl chain. Most of the structure of classic antihistamine contain an ethylene chain. Extension or branching of this chain result in a less active compound except promethazine derivatives. In many of the first generation or classical antihistamine, the terminal nitrogen atom is simple dimethyl moiety. Okay. Now we will discuss about the SAR of terminal nitrogen atom. The amine may also be part of a heterocyclic structure. However, as illustrated by the piperazine, some propyl amines in pyrrolidines and piperidines, some phenothiazines, the dibenzocycloheptanes and heptane, and the second generation antihistamine. In all cases, the amino moiety is basic with pKa's ranging from 8.5 to 10, and thus is presumed to protonate when bound on the receptor. The amine moiety is also important in the development of stable solid dosage forms through salt formation. Now we will discuss about the first generation H1 blocker classification. Okay. So according to their connecting group, it is classified into the mainly 3 groups: amino alkyl ether analogues, ethylene diamine analogues, and third is propylamine analogues. Okay, so the nature of connecting atom as well as the diaryl substitution pattern and amino moiety has been used to subclassify the first generation antihistamine as indicated in the following section. Okay, so already I have discussed about that. Now amino alkyl ether analog, first class from this category. So this is the general structure of amino alkyl ether analog. Okay, so this is the ethylene side chain, connecting atom is oxygen. So due to oxygen it is called as ether linkage. Okay, here is a amino group. Okay, so amino, this is the amino, this is the alkyl, amino alkyl ether, and this is the analogues, means aryl group. So that's why it was called as amino alkyl ether analogues. Okay, drugs belongs to amino alkyl ether class are diphenhydramine hydrochloride, dimenhydrinate hydrochloride, bromodiphenhydramine hydrochloride, carbinoxamine malate, doxylamine succinate, and clemastine fumarate. Okay, so this is the all drugs belongs to amino alkyl ether analogues category. Apart from this category, I have given here total structure of 4 drugs: doxylamine succinate, clemastine fumarate, dimenhydrinate, and diphenhydramine hydrochloride. Okay, so this is the important for your point of view, examination point of view. So you can memorize it and write down it in the answer book. Okay. Now second category is ethylene diamine analogues. This is the common structure of ethylene diamine analogues. So this group is known as ethylene, and its both side have a nitrogen atom. That's why it was called as ethylene diamine analogues. Okay, the ethylene diamine antihistamine are characterized by the presence of a nitrogen connecting atom and a 2 carbon atom chain as the linking moiety between the key diaryl and tertiary amino moiety. Drugs belongs to ethylene diamine class are tripylamine hydrochloride, pyrilamine malate, methapyrilene hydrochloride, thiongylamine hydrochloride, antazolene phosphate. All compounds in this series are simple diaryl ethylene diamine except antazolene, in which the terminal amine and the portion of the carbon chain are included as part of an imidazolene ring system. Tripylamine, the first ethylene diamine developed in the United States and is well absorbed when given orally. It appears to be as effective as diphenhydramine and may have the advantage of fewer and less severe side reaction. So from this class we have to remember structure of tripylamine hydrochloride. Okay. In ethylene diamine class there is a subclass is a piperazine. It is also called as cyclizine class. The piperazine or cyclizine can also be considered ethylene diamine derivative or cyclic ethylene diamine. In this series, however, the connecting moiety X is a CHN group and the carbon chain terminal amine functionality and the nitrogen atom of the connecting group are all part of a piperazine moiety. So you can see here, this is the nitrogen group, okay, and this is the nitrogen group, and in both nitrogen linked through the ethylene bridge. So that's why it is classified under the category of ethylene diamine derivative. But in this group there is a connecting moiety is a CHAN. Okay. So already discussed in this first point. Both nitrogen atom in this compound are aliphatic and thus display comparable basicity. The primary structure difference within the series involve the nature of the para aromatic ring systems, para aromatic ring substituent, proton or chlorine, and more importantly, the nature of the terminal piperazine nitrogen substituent. The piperazine are moderately potent antihistaminic with a relatively high potential to cause drowsiness and psychomotor and cognitive dysfunction. Drugs belongs to the piperazine or cyclizine class are cyclizine hydrochloride, chlorcyclizine hydrochloride, maclizine hydrochloride, and buclizine hydrochloride. So, you have to remember these three structure in the cyclizine class. Okay. Now, third category is propyl amine. It is also called as monoamino propyl or alkyl amine derivatives. Okay. So, this is the basic structure of propyl amine, in which connecting atom यानी कि X is a carbon. So, this is the chain of propyl, and here amino group is there. So, that is why it was called as propyl amine derivatives. So, those propyl amines with a saturated carbon connecting moiety are commonly referred to as the phenyramines, means saturated carbon moiety, CH, CH2, CH2. This is saturated molecules. That is why it was called as phenyramine derivatives. Okay. All of the phenyramines consist of a phenyl and a 2-pyridyl aryl group and a terminal dimethyl dimethyl amino moiety. These compounds differ only in the phenyl substituent at the para position. If H is there, then it is called as phenyramine. Cl is there, then it is called as chlorphenyramine, and bromine is there. If bromine is there, it is called as bromphenyramine. Okay. The halogenated phenyramine are significantly more potent. Approximate it is 20 to 50 times more potent and have a longer duration of action than phenyramine, because there is lipophilicity enhanced. Drug belongs to propyl amine class are phenyramine malate, chlorphenyramine malate, bromphenyramine malate, pyrobutamine phosphate, phenindamine tartrate, tripyrrolidine hydrochloride, and dimethindine malate. So, this is the all drugs belongs to the propyl amine class, but apart from all these drugs, we have to remember these three structure: chlorphenyramine malate, tripyrrolidine hydrochloride, and phenindamine tartrate. Okay. So, this is the chlorine, which is the at para position in the aromatic ring, and according to this substitution at para position, it is called as phenyramine, chlorphenyramine, and bromphenyramine. Okay. Now, next category is the phenothiazines. The phenothiazine derivatives that display therapeutically useful antihistamic action contain a 2 or 3 carbon branch alkyl chain between the ring system and terminal nitrogen atom. So, it's called this is the 2 or 3 carbon atom chain, okay, in between the nitrogen and the ring system. Drug belongs to phenothiazine class are promethazine hydrochloride, trimethazine tartrate, methadilazine hydrochloride, dibenzocycloheptene, and dibenzocycloheptane. The dibenzocycloheptene and dibenzocycloheptane antihistamine may be regarded as phenothiazine analogues, in which the sulfur atom, means this atom, the sulfur atom has been replaced by an isosteric vinyl group, means that at that time this is 6-member molecules will be converted into cyproheptidine molecules, okay, or a saturated ethyl bridge, and the ring nitrogen has been replaced by the carbon atom, means this nitrogen is replaced by the carbon atom. The two members of this series are closely related in structure. Azatidine is an aza isoster of cyproheptidine, in which the 10-11 double bond is reduced. These agents are potent antihistamines with moderate sedation and anticholinergic potential and little antiemetic activity. So, this is the structure of promethazine hydrochloride and trimeperazine tartrate, and I have also give the structure of the cyproheptadine and azacitidine in this slide, because it is just modification of the promethazine series, in which in the case of cyproheptadine there is a sulfur replaced by the isosteric ethylene bridge and nitrogen is replaced with the carbon. Okay? While in azacitidine malate there is a ethylene bridge saturated or reduced. Okay? So, this is the basic difference between the cyproheptadine and azacitidine drugs. Now, we are going to discuss about the second generation antihistamine. Initial design efforts towards new or second generation antihistamine focus on developing agent with a lower sedation potential and reduced binding affinity for non-target proteins including muscarinic, adrenergic and serotonergic receptors. These efforts leads to the introduction of estimizole and terfenadine derivatives of the first generation agents with substantial larger and tertiary amine substituents. Estimizole and terfenadine prove to be non-sedating and target receptor selective, but extensive clinical use uncovered serious cardiovascular toxicity, means it caused elongation of QT interval and also cause the arrhythmias. As a result of these concerns, both estimizole and terfenadine have been withdrawn from the US market. Okay? Now, further drug design efforts resulted in the discovery of new second generation agent which retain the non-sedating and receptor selectivity properties, but lacked the cardiotoxicity of estimizole and terfenadine, means it's have no side effect of cardiotoxicity. Okay? These newer agents are structurally diverse, but are derivative of first generation drugs containing larger polar functionality connected either to the terminal tertiary amine or as a substituent of one of the aromatic rings. In addition to their H1 receptor selectivity, these second generation agents do not accumulate in the CNS because their hydrophilicity and high affinity for P-glycoprotein efflux pump of cell associated with the blood-brain barrier. The new second generation drugs currently available in the market include acrivestin, cetirizine, levocetirizine, loratadine and fixofenadine. So, apart from these few drugs, I give total 4 drug structure here. It is estimizole, fixofenadine hydrochloride, cetirizine and loratadine. Okay? And this is the drugs as per your syllabus, and it is asked by the maybe university question paper. Okay? So, cetirizine, generally we all know about the cetirizine and we generally use in the sickness, okay, or runny nose condition. So, it is indicated for the temporary relief of runny nose, sneezing, itching of the nose or throat and or itchy watery eyes caused by hay fever or other upper respiratory allergy. It also relieves itching caused by hives, means urticaria, but it will not prevent hives or an allergic skin reaction from occurring. Now, another drugs developed in this category is inhibition of histamine release mast cell stabilizers. The discovery of the bronchodilating activity of the natural product kaolin obtained from the plant Ami visnaga leads to the development of the compound that stabilize mast cell and inhibit the release of histamine and other mediators of inflammation. The first therapeutically significant members of this class was cromolyn sodium. Further research targeting more effective agents resulted in the introduction of nadocromyl, followed more recently by pamirolast and lodoxantin, lodoxantide. Generally, the mast cell stabilizer inhibit activation of and mediator release from various inflammatory cell types associated with allergy and asthma, including eosinophil, neutrophil, macrophages, mast cell, monocytes, and platelets. In addition to histamine, these drugs inhibit the release of leukotrienes and prostaglandins. Okay, so that's why it was under the category of inhibition of histamine release and mast cell stabilizers. Now we'll discuss about the topical H1 blockers. Drugs belongs to topical H1 blockers are lodoxamide, tromethamine, pamirolast potassium, azelastine hydrochloride, and ketotifen fumarate. Over the several past decades, there has been considerable interest in the development of novel antihistaminic compound with dual mechanism of action, including H1 receptor antihistaminic action and mast cell stabilization. Currently available drugs that exhibit such dual antihistaminic action include azelastine and ketotifen. These compounds contain the basic pharmacophore to produce relatively selective antihistaminic action, as well as inhibition of the release of histamine and other mediators from mast cell involved in the allergic response. In vitro studies suggest that these compounds also decrease chemotaxis and activation of eosinophils. Azelastine and ketotifen currently are indicated for the treatment of itching of the eye associated with allergic conjunctivitis. Now, use and side effects of H1 blockers. H1 antihistamine are clinically used in the treatment of histamine mediated allergic condition. These indications may include allergic rhinitis, allergic conjunctivitis, contact dermatitis, rhinorrhea, urticaria, angioedema, pruritus, anaphylactic reaction, nausea, vomiting, sedation. Specifically, it is used in a sedation for the by the help of first generation H1 antihistamines. H1 antihistamine can be administered topically through the skin, nose, or eye, or systematically based on the nature of the allergic condition. Side effects: the most common adverse effect is sedation. Other common adverse effect in first generation H1 antihistamines include dizziness, tinnitus, blurred vision, euphoria, incoordination, anxiety, increased appetite leading to weight gain, insomnia, and tremor. Infrequent adverse effects include urinary retention, palpitation, hypotension, and headaches. Okay, so this is all about the H1 antagonist. So you can prepare it thoroughly because it is this topic initially asked in the 10 mark segment. So for the exam point of view, this topic is most important from this histamine chapters. Okay, thank you dear students. Take care. God bless you.